Hi, it's Videos back at you for another video. This is going to be another Q&A video. It's going to be my Q&A video number 6. And as you may know, this video contains questions from The Walking Dead's comic book and the TV show. So if you have any questions related to The Walking Dead's comic book or the TV show, you can ask your question. Basically, leave your question in the comment section below, and I'll answer it in my next Q&A video. Just make sure you put Q&A before your comment so I can find it. So let's get right into this video. We're going to start with the show questions. So the first question comes from Wyatt McCann, and he asks, if Glenn is the Lucille victim, do you think that Daryl will feel responsible since he was hot-headed and chased after Dwight, leading to Glenn's capture? This is a very good question. I don't think it's exclusive to Glenn being the victim. I think Daryl is going to feel responsible if the victim is Michonne, Rosita, or Glenn, because he was responsible for them being out in the open and being captured. So he's definitely going to feel responsible if any of those three people die. Obviously, he's still going to feel responsible if it's the other people, because he's not going to know the exact reason they were out. So he's going to think that even Rick and the others were out there because of him. Now, obviously, when he sees Maggie sick, he might have figured out that they were probably there for another reason, but it's tough to say because there's a lot of factors involved in who was there for what reason. So in Daryl's mind, he's not sure why all of the people are out there and why they were all captured. So he's definitely going to feel responsible in either case. If anyone dies, which they will, he's going to feel responsible. Now, he's going to feel more responsible if it's Michonne, Rosita, or Glenn. But I think that's definitely going to leave a mark, and he's going to have to carry that burden for the rest of his life, knowing that he was responsible for the death of someone. But that's also going to want to push him to want to fight Negan in the coming up story, and it's going to be a motivation for him to take revenge. But now that he sees the repercussions of him acting blindly and being a hothead, he's not going to make the same mistakes again, and he's going to learn from his mistakes, and he's going to take revenge, but do it in a smart way. So the next question comes from BoxTv, and they ask, what do you think will happen to Sasha? So, assuming she's going to survive the Lucille death, and as you know, I think she's going to survive, what is she going to do? In the short run, I think she's going to be very, very mad and maybe even sad, depending on who the victim is, and she's going to want to take revenge, just like Daryl. Now, she has proven to be unstable at times, so I think that's going to come back. And she's going to feel like she can do anything and that she's capable of doing anything by herself and that she can take Negan down by herself. But I think at the end of the day, she's going to have a hard time dealing with the outcome of the premiere of Season 7. And it's going to be hard for her to think rationally. But I think there are characters who can help her and get her on the right track. But that's a very good question. And another thing I want to add is that she's going to become a strong fighter and a strong character in the coming up storyline. And for comic readers, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So the next question comes from Steven Moraga, and he asks, when do you think Heath will die? Obviously, we know that Heath and Tara are going to have that standalone episode. And in my opinion, I think there's build up for one of them to die in that episode. And I think it's going to be Heath, so he's going to die in that episode. Now, there are two main reasons why I think that. One is that he got a role lead in a new show, 24. Obviously, he can do both shows, but he's going to have commitments to that show, and it's going to be harder for him to make both work. So for that reason, I think they're going to kill him off and give the storyline he has in the future in the comic book to another character. Now, the other reason I think Heath is going to die is, like I said, there's build-up for someone to die in that episode, and I don't see them killing off Tara in that episode because there's still some story remaining with Tara, because she still doesn't know that Denise has been killed. it's going to be very interesting to see how Denise is going to deal with Dwight when she finds that Dwight has killed Denise. So that's going to be a very exciting storyline coming up. But, like I said, I don't think they're going to kill her off because there's still some story remaining with her. Since someone has to die in that episode, or I think someone's going to die in that episode, I think Heath is going to die in that episode. But that's a very good question as well. Now, let's get into comic questions. There's only one comic question, but it's a very good question. The question comes from George Redfield, and he asks, if Maggie and Negan survived the war, and we're talking about the Whisperer War now, how do you think they would coexist? That's a very good question, and to answer that question, we first have to think about what would Negan do? If Negan faces Maggie, what is he gonna do? That's very interesting. What is he gonna do? And again, on the other side, what is Maggie gonna do? Is she just gonna kill him off or try to kill him? And what's Rick gonna do? Is he gonna come between them or is he gonna take Maggie's side? But would they be able to coexist? I don't think that's possible. So either Negan has to die or Maggie has to die. Or they both have to die. Because they can't coexist. Now, they can all survive the war, and after the war they could have conflict, but that's not realistic because Maggie's not going to be able to fight knowing that she's fighting in the same team as the guy who murdered her husband. So it's very interesting, and I think it's going to be a big part of the story in the war when they face off. And in my opinion, I think either they're not going to face off and Maggie's going to die before that happens, or if they do come face to face, it's going to be an epic battle between them, and maybe Rick would come in between them and fight in Maggie's side and kill Negan. Now, again, with the story, the way the story is going, that might not make sense, but there's just a lot of things going on, and it's difficult to predict what's going to happen exactly. But to give a simple answer, they can't coexist. There's no way they can coexist. But that's it for this Q&A video. Like I said, leave your questions in the comment section and I'll answer it in the next Q&A video. Thanks for watching. I'll be back for another video.